Are these people going to work exclusively in America, or are they going to have like a team in China? Because what I'm thinking of sort of the humanitarian aspect of it, of in China, people are working 12-hour days, 6 days a week. So if you have these people working, around the clock, just essentially using them as an exhaustible resource and putting out a game and putting it at like a $60 price point, but you've done like super mega bizarro crunch time on people that you kind of see as irrelevant because you're China and you have like 11 bajillion people and you can just rotate people in. What does that do for the game industry as a whole when they're competing with Tencent, who are just kind of have like the undead army of game devs and can just like pump out a quadruple A game at maximum profit, selling it for $40 a piece because they're just not paying the people that are working. And here we are in America having a huge crunch crisis. Not even just America, just like around the world, where we're having a crunch crisis, or we're cracking down on like Rockstar, we're cracking down on, all these other like game dev companies because they're not paying the people and the people are working way too much. And they're putting out kind of like a product, and it's okay and it's good, but it's just kind of a mess.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking. It was a few things, but that was one of the reasons I was asking about where they're going to be based, right? Because
Yeah.
I've worked for a company where we had like 50% of our development in China, and like to your point, the amount they could get done in the amount of time that like the US based developers were getting things done was way different, and it had nothing to do with talent level. It had everything to do with labor laws.
Yeah.
So, and same thing. I've worked at companies with teams in India, and when you can literally pay people a 6-month bond and they have to live at the office, you can get a lot more done in
Yep.
a shorter amount of time. But yeah, you're right. What does that do to the games industry, right? So I'm going to talk about the game I've been playing later, but it's a $40 game, right? It's a lot of fun. There's some jank to it, but I'm okay with that because it's just a $40 game. But to your point, if they could make that Final Fantasy VII remake for $40, like, then that's a $20 game in my mind as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's just not good for the game industry. We have like CD Projekt Red coming out, and they're like, we're extending how long we're gonna make this game. Cyberpunk isn't coming out because we just don't want to crunch our people. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, we literally can't get this game out without crunching our people.
We're crunching them, but we're crunching them longer.
Yeah. It's just like, it's crazy. Or like the Gearbox story we covered and we talked about, right? Hey, people have bought houses with the bonus they get off the game. Don't worry about those 120-hour weeks, and then they don't get an extra penny out of it. So yeah, that could be a huge issue. And it goes back to the whole thing too, like having a parent company that can just dump, like if you take the two things we're concerned about, right? You're concerned about the people as a resource, right? An expendable resource. And I'm worried about a company that can just huck money at things. If you take a company that can just huck money at unlimited resources and they can literally work those resources into the ground,
it's like a weird juxtaposition because they're gonna chuck money at the people over here, and then the people back in China, they're gonna just kind of treat them like dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then like together, they're just gonna pump out like this crazy product.
Yeah, you're gonna get, like you said, and that's gonna be so like, I'm just imagining this future, right? 4 years from now, we get Tencent's first, whatever the studio is going to be called, right? We get that game. And it's like, opposite of what I said, right? Like, which is the game doesn't do well, Tencent pulls out, right? Opposite of that. The game does phenomenal. And then you have like the Kotaku article, the Gamezo article, the IGN article. We're all covering like, oh, we got the inside scoop. Some guy from the LA office was talking about the insane crunch they were working. They were working 70-hour weeks. And then some poor dude in China's like,
I would love that 70-hour week.
There were 300 of us working 140-hour weeks. What do you mean they were only working 70 hours back in America, right?
Yeah, there's like 3 people working on the same computer like simultaneously. Yeah. Like one dude's on the mouse, the other's on the keyboard. The other's kind of like overseeing them, and it's just they're in like 120 degree. Like we're laughing, but this is actually horrible.
I know.
They're like in like 120 degree building, and there's no windows. It's just a cement block that they built like Fortnite style, like a 2x2 or whatever they call it. and they're just sitting in there with their crummy little computers that are just all, Chinese quality made, and they're pumping out games for 12, 14-hour days, 6 days a week. It's actually scary.